Today we are going to talk to the riders here at the Abu Dhabi Tour about handlebar choice, because there is a big choice in terms of aero or standard, but also the width and indeed the shape of the drops. With Caleb Ewan now, who's got a fairly extreme position, as you all know, and also some fairly extreme handlebars here at the front. You've gone for the traditional drop and only 40 centimetres edge to edge, I think.
Yeah, well, I actually had to get these bars specially made for me because, like, this is the normal bar over here. I guess it's like a new style kind of drop, but I felt like I couldn't really sprint on that as well, so I preferred the traditional drop. So yeah, they made me this bar like this, and yeah, it's quite narrow, but then the stem's super long. So yeah, it was a bit of I guess it's like a bit of an extreme position, but yeah, I prefer sprint like that. I think my upper body compared to my legs is like quite long, so that's why I run such a small frame, but then like my reach is quite long. So yeah, I guess it helps me get into that position.
And finally, quite a few riders still use the traditional drop. Not so many members of the public do. Got any reasons for that, do you think?
To be honest, I just prefer the feeling of like when you're holding here and sprinting. I feel like you can like really pull on the bars more, but I think it's just like personal preference. Everyone's different, so that's just what I prefer.
You've got some fairly extreme handlebars, as we might expect. What have you got there?
I believe they're 38s. They're the smallest we can get for us. There's, I think they do have a women's model. That's 36, but 38 is good enough. When we did a lot of wind tunnel testing, we found that not only is it good to be low, but it's also very good to be narrow. So, you know, tucking the shoulders in and everything. So the idea is I can just be in my relaxed position and be aero.
You didn't find that at a certain point when you really narrow it kind of makes your elbows go out at all? Or?
No, when I actually ride, I still ride like that. You know, my wrists are inside. It's not like I ride like that, so I still drop in. And no, it's, you know, when you do it for the first 1 week, okay, it's a bit different. Yeah. But after that, it's fine. And then when you go back to like 42s, it's like driving a bus.
How much thought have you put into your handlebar choice?
They're flat on the top and they've got some rounded bottoms. That's about it. They're the super ergos, pretty standard, a little bit flared, 42 on the bottom and 40 across the top. So probably a little bit easier, so you don't hit your forearms on the bars as much when you're at the saddle. But there's only so much you can do with a road bar. We stuffed up a little bit back in the day because I always had 42s, but so we always measured from the hoods, but there were 42 on the hoods, but 44 on the drops. Okay. So we've gone obviously back to 40 and 42, which is a little bit better for me.
38 centre to centre at the top and 42 on the drops. How did you arrive at this choice of bar?
I didn't choose, they just that's how they make it. So I normally, it was all of the years having 42, like just a round standard classic handlebar. And then when we changed to Envy, they had this bar, and I wanted to try it because it was flat on the top, and the idea was to use the flat bit as kind of a rest for my arms. You can ride, like if you just got a round bar and you hit a hole, or you hit, after a while you get pain in the arm but this you can ride for 4 hours if you want.
And have you experimented much with the shape of the drops? You've got reasonably compact shape here. Other riders such as Caleb Ewan that we spoke to earlier has got a much more traditional drop.
Yeah, like I say, I used to just have the classic one, and then I tried this bar, and honestly at first I didn't really like it. I wanted the drop to be lower because, like you say, this is too narrow, but then it's like a balance because the other bar didn't have the flat bit on the top, so I just sort of came to a balance of that.
I think it's all about aero, no? Maybe the large one is more comfortable, but I don't have a really big shoulder, so I can stay on with 40 handlebar, and yeah, when you do the sprint, it's all about positioning, aero, and the shows is with the best aero composition we can. So with all integrated stem and handlebar from Specialized for the Venge one, and all the cable is inside, so it's a good solution. It's compact curve. I have the traditional one in the start, and then I change with this one. I think it's quite comfortable, and then also I can pull really, really well with the arms also. And yeah, also you can see the shifter in a good position to change, so to have a fast change in the sprint. And yeah, I think this position, the down position, I used just in the last K, the last few Ks. So because it's so low, you know. Because yeah, I want to be aero in the sprint, and then to be comfortable, I can stand on the levers.
And how different is this shape and width to what you'd use in the velodrome?
It's quite similar. It's completely the same, the curve and everything, because I use always the same measurement and everything. I try to use the same measurement and the handlebar and all the same stuff on the track, because I want to jump from the road track and from road to the track and from track to the road really quickly without any issues.
I've ridden 42 centre to centre since I was junior, since I was a whippersnapper. I've always found it fits, just feels perfect. And I think some people think if you go narrower, it's more aero, but then if you go narrower, you can tend to ride with your elbows out a bit more. So I've just found this comfortable setup for me.
And you've got a traditional, almost sort of Merc style drop there. Have you experimented on that side of things at all?
I've ridden these bars for 5 years now, just the traditional kind of quite deep handlebar. I think the only change that we got coming is there's the integrated all-in-one setup, which I haven't got yet. They haven't made the all-in-one for this shape handlebars, so I think they're in the process of making them now. So soon it'll be all-in-one.
I'd love to tell you there was like a real specific request on my part to Canyon for 41s, but with the integrated bar system they've got, that's as narrow as they get whilst still having the 12 or 13 centimetre length on it. On the road bike, actually, I'm more about what's comfortable, and the big things for me is just having a flat section just here. I don't like having any kind of dip, and then having a curved drop rather than any sort of bump in it. Fine if I've got what's it called, where it's like more ergonomic. If I've got that, then I start getting sort of dead fingers and stuff.
Would you say you spend more time on the hoods, even when you're trying to get aero, than you do on the drops?
Yeah, in training I try and spend time on the drops, but even like yesterday in the lead out, I found I don't really remember where I was, but because I kind of stopped thinking about it when I'm focused on just trying to go fast, but I sort of getting crouched down on the hoods or using the drops, using both. As long as I get low enough, that's sort of all that matters.
This year we're sponsored by Vision, so they provide us with these aero handlebars, which I think are great because they're quite comfortable, but still offer you all the aero advantages of the other handlebars. Previously in my career I've been using narrower handlebars, but these are obviously like a combo, so they only came in limited sizes. So this year I'm using a regular 42 centimeters. Before I was using 40 centimeters when I was still using aluminum handlebars. And but I like this. These are pretty good.
And in terms of the shape, you see some riders with a much more traditional drop. You've got the more compact one. Was that a conscious decision that you came to after experimentation?
I've always used the traditional shape ones, but they don't make them in the aero version, so I have this now and I like it. It's okay.
So quite a varied choice amongst the pro riders. Now, a couple that didn't want to be interviewed because they actually don't have much choice in terms of width and drop from their sponsors. Right, if you've enjoyed this video, you can give us a thumbs up just down below. Subscribe to GCN Tech by clicking on the globe, and then if you'd like to see how riders choose their stems, you can find that video just over here.